was sleeping, I was hiding from me. I was searching for a way to express all this love that's inside of me. When I look around, all I notice is it's who I am, and I'm coloring outside the lines of this world. I'm coloring outside the lines of this world, and I'm free to be me. Oh, the God inside of me is coloring outside the lines of this world. So here I am now, shining with new light. Here I am now, spreading my wings and taking flight. There is nothing now that can stop me from living my dreams, 'cause I'm on fire, fire. And I'm coloring outside the lines of this world. I'm coloring outside the lines of this world, and I'm free to be me. Oh, the God inside of me is coloring outside the lines of this world. I was searching for a way to express all this love that's inside of me. When I look around, all I notice is it's who I am. It's who I am, and I'm coloring outside the lines of this world. I'm coloring outside the lines of this world, and I'm free to be me. Oh, the God inside of me is coloring outside the lines of this world. I was hiding, I was sleeping, but now I'm awake. I'm awake.
Good morning. Good morning, Inner Light. I am Donna Starr, and that was the amazing Lynda Lundry Starr singing to you one of her original songs, Coloring Outside the Lines. I am going to be your speaker today, and I, of course, have a message from Reverend Deborah for everyone that I'd like to share with you. She says, greetings to the Inner Light community from Reverend Deborah Johnson. Thank you for all the birthday wishes over this past week. I'm having a lovely retreat and will rejoin you next week. You are in good hands this day with Donna Starr, Senior Ministerial Student at Holmes Institute and the Community Ministries Coordinator here at Inner Light. Be sure to join the fun during our Zoom gathering following her message. You can join the watch party at any time starting right now. And happy Valentine's to everyone, and I will see you next week. So there is a Zoom watch party happening right now. there is probably a link in the chat or on your screen that you can join us at any time. We are streaming the service in the watch party, and you can be a part of a community that is watching the show together. And afterwards, we're going to gather together and have a little community time together and some discussion, some breakout groups. And so we, of course, are very grateful to everybody for your continuing financial support of Inner Light Ministries so that we can carry on with our mission in the world, making a world that works for everybody. And a couple ways that you can do that are with PayPal at paypal.me/Inner-Light-Ministries. You can also text to give, very easy. Just text the amount of your donation to 831-667-5051. I also want to remind everybody that if you're in need of spiritual support or prayer, you can call us at 831-465-9090, extension 254, and have a practitioner connect with you, or you can email us at 4, that's the number 4, prayer@innerlightministries.com. As always, we have our activations, our affirmative activations. The theme for this month is power. And the topic today is being love's instrument. And you will be able to find on your screen the affirmations. And it's important for us to say these affirmations out loud. There's a vibration that's created with our voice that starts to create changes inside of us. And it's powerful, it's subtle, but powerful, and it's effective. So I invite you to read along with me the affirmations for today. Oh, there's another thing I want to tell you about the affirmations that is really magical. Every set of affirmations, activations that we have on Sundays are 100 words, exactly, every time. Being love's instrument. I have been blessed with the power to create. I treasure this power and use it wisely. I mind my mind, and I am careful of what I say and do. I refuse to be seduced by the world's clamor and chatter. My attention is riveted on the positive and affirmative. I cannot be lulled to sleep by the hypnotic drone of doom. Piercing through all appearances, I see the brightness of truth. My resilient spirit is always triumphant. I stand tall and awake. My eyes are open for life's sake. And I am empowered by my choices to be love's instrument. Today I want to share with you, to begin, a little story, a personal story from my past. When I was in my 30s, which was really just a couple years ago, I was able to go on a vision quest. For those who are maybe not familiar with this, a vision quest is an ancient practice. It's an ancient spiritual practice, and it's found in some form or another in every culture on Earth. And there are many ways to quest, and from what I can tell, the idea of the vision quest is to put yourself in a situation where all distractions are removed. Distractions like food, comfort, other people, TV, books, music. Basically, you're putting yourself in a situation where the only thing that's happening is your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own emotions. I've been able to quest many times and in different situations with different faith traditions, and every time what has happened is that I've been able to move past the demands of my physical self. I've learned that I spend, and I think that we as humans spend a whole lot of time taking care of our physical form, making sure it's comfortable, it's fed, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's looking good. And what happens is that when moving past the demands of my physical self, I'm able to hear and be present with the needs of my spirit. And it is in that place that I've been able to hear what I like to call the voice of spirit, what Ernest Holmes referred to as that still small voice that whispers to us throughout eternity. Now, this quest that I'm going to share my little experience in the quest with you was my first one, and it was in Death Valley. And if you have not been to Death Valley, what I want you to know are a couple of things. And the first and most overwhelming thing for me in Death Valley is the quiet. It is very, very quiet. There is little to no vegetation because it's also the driest place on earth. Which means that there's little to no wildlife. So the wildlife that I did encounter were mostly insects and mice and occasionally hawks in the sky. And so the silence is huge. And the other thing to know about it is that it is very dry, known as the hottest place on earth. It is very, very dry, arid. And water, of course, is the most valuable commodity. So I went on this quest with a group of people. Our guide had led many groups out to this particular site over the years, and we had some pre-quest instructions. And the one instruction that stuck with me that seemed to really resonate with me was the instruction to pray the whole time that we were out there. And we were told not to be praying for ourselves, but to be praying for our people, for others, the entire time. And I didn't really, at that point in my life, have an idea of who my people might be, who my people were. I didn't really identify with a particular group, and wasn't really involved with any big movements. So what I did was I just started thinking about groups of people that I had concern for, groups of people that I felt for. And I started praying with children. I started praying for children because I identified myself as a child who had been afraid of the dark. And so I started praying for the children all over who were afraid of the dark for whatever reason. Children who maybe were afraid of the adults in their life, children who may be in danger. And from there, I kind of moved into praying for our unsheltered brothers and sisters. And what happened is that the tears started to come up for me, thinking about how society treats them, the people in our population who have so little and have such huge challenges that we absolutely probably can't even imagine what they have to go through on a daily basis. And what happened is I started to begin feeling some rage down inside there at the injustices of this segment of our population and for other populations. And things just started welling up inside of me, our LGBTQI community, feelings of hot tears and pain and rage over prejudice that they experience, over the prejudice and the stripping away of civil rights and the abuses that our people of color, our elders, our immigrants. And thinking of all of this led me to a place where I was deeply moved and in deep grief. And all of it came flooding up out of me in this torrent of rage and tears until I had absolutely no more tears to cry. So laying there in the desert, feeling empty and completely exhausted from this emotional expression, I opened my eyes and I saw in front of me the most amazing thing. I saw that my tears had created a pool of water on the ground where my head had laid. And that all around the pool of water, tiny flies had gathered to drink. typically, flies are something that I would shoo away, but I watched them work really hard to drink as much as they could before the dry air of Death Valley absorbed it. And I understood that what I was seeing was that my expression of pain and rage had somehow produced life-giving nourishment. So why am I telling you this story today? Valentine's Day. And what does this have to do with our topic, being love's instrument? Well, over time, I came to understand three things about this experience. One, that all of our feelings and emotions are actually gifts, and they're not gifts just for me, that they are actually gifts to bring into the world. I realized that expressing them isn't something I do just for me, that the expression of my feelings and emotion serves the world. And more deeply, I began to realize that it wasn't, that what was fueling my tears wasn't really the rage, and it wasn't really the pain, but instead what it was love. It was love with a capital L. It's that love that fuels the fires of compassion, and it's sometimes expressed in very big and very energized ways, and always at the core, at the heart of everything, the foundation of it is love. Now, I mentioned earlier that we are having a Zoom watch party, and everybody is invited to come. We'd love to have as many people in there as possible for community connection. And we're going to have a little discussion in some breakout rooms for you to connect on a more personal level with other people in the community. And we're going to be talking about Marianne Williamson's book, an excerpt from her book, A Return to Love. And a couple of things that I want to talk about right now about that book. She says in it, no matter what we do, we can make it our ministry. And she goes on to say that we are here to minister to human hearts. So what I want to say is that we're all ministers, whether we're aware of it or not, whether we want to be or not, we are. And being a minister is not restricted to being a part of the clergy or even a religion. We're operating from a place of ministry whenever we're in service to others. And this can show up in very simple ways. A kind word to the grocery clerk, allowing that angry driver, to have safe passage around me and in front of me. Maybe making a small donation to a worthy cause, sharing hope with somebody who's feeling disheartened. Even something as simple as cooking a meal for somebody who may be ill or maybe just tired from their workday. So the opportunities to be a minister for love are ever present and endless, and they can be very simple, and they can also be very big. It can be anything from educating yourself and others about issues that affect the community, providing support to a local homeless shelter, writing letters to public officials to affect change, joining in a march for something that you feel deeply about. I recall that one of our activations says, I have been blessed with the power to create. So all of this is a ministry, and no matter if it's big or small, it creates change. It creates change inside of you, and therefore it creates change in the world. And the truth is that global transformation is possible. It is absolutely possible to create a world that works for everyone. And I know that it begins with personal transformation. And that change begins with learning about what's important to you. So just take a moment and think about what moves you. What makes you mad? What breaks your heart? What are the things that bring you joy? What are the things that when you're doing them, you completely lose track of time. What are the changes that you would like to see in the world? These are the places where love is trying to come through. Love is trying to express through you. Love is expressing through you, through your activities, through your consciousness, through your choices. And knowing that love is the most powerful force in the universe, we know that love will always win every single time. And so it brings us to one of our other affirmations that says, I treasure this power and I use it wisely. And when I am rooted, when we are rooted in the power of love, when we operate from that place of power, we connect to the power of love in others. And in that, we create a spiritual bridge. And with that activity, healing happens. Joy is birthed and change is affected. A couple of other of our activations, I'm just really excited about them today. We spoke about not being seduced by the world's clamor and chatter, not falling into sleep, being hypnotized by that drone of doom that's often just flowing through our social media all the time, and that we rise above it. We pierce through the appearances and we see the brightness of truth. I have a mantra that's kind of always just playing in the back of my mind. It's from the poet Rune Lazuli. And she says, in the midst of chaos, build a temple of love. So when the rage, when the pain, when the fear is building up and it feels like it's going to take you over, when the politics of the world, when the forces of nature with the fires and the floods, when disease takes over our way of life, when it feels like there's only chaos all around you, you can stop. And you can turn inside. And you can find love at the core of your being. And you build your temple there. And I'm not suggesting that we ignore reality. I'm never, ever the one to prescribe a spiritual bypass. What I'm saying is that we can and we must see what's happening in the world. We must see what's happening in our lives. We must see what is happening in the lives of others. And we must endeavor to look beyond the first layer of appearances. We must go deeper, beyond the fear, beyond the pain, beyond the confusion and anger, and see that underneath it all, there is the brightness of truth. There is the foundation of love. To close with another quote from Marian's book, Return to Love, the choice to be used as an instrument of love right here, right now, is a choice for personal empowerment. So to take a moment, and if you feel comfortable, I would invite you to just close your eyes. And just know that you are the center of love's expression. That you are what is trying to express in the world, spirit. I know that there's only one thing happening everywhere all the time, and that's the life of God. That's the life of spirit. And it is here everywhere, all around, and as you. And that your work in the world, big or small, is to be that love. And I'm also knowing that in the mind of God, there is no big or small. It's all love. It's all good. And it's all happening right here, right now, as us. And we can and we will affect positive, formative change in the world through our clear expression of love. So again, I invite everybody to the Zoom watch party. I want to remind everybody of a couple of things before we go over into the Zoom room. We have a food pantry. The Inner Light Food Pantry is open every Thursday starting at noon. And we are still running a fund. The GoFundMe link should be in your chat or on your screen. We're very grateful for all of the generosity, and we continue to need support. We had a big windstorm a few weeks ago, that damaged quite a bit of the canopies that we were able to provide. So we need to repair that, and there's always ongoing things that we need for the food pantry as we continue to feed hundreds of people every single week. And we do that through your generous donations and through the donation and support of Second Harvest Food Bank. And there should also be on your screen and in your chat ways to donate directly to Inner Light Ministries through text to give or PayPal. And we're going to go over to join the Zoom. So everybody say along with me, take this consciousness and multiply it.